Mm.
There we are.
Oh, hey, it's good
Hey,
to see
happy
you.
Monday. Good to
Happy
see you too.
Monday. Yes, it's so nice to see you. We're all bundled up in our warm stuff. It's 60 here, so we're really all suffering.
Sure. We had snow all weekend here. It was like
Yeah,
18 degrees or something. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, when it's 120 in August, we can talk again. Oh, it's funny. There's good and bad with everything, right? But yeah, no, I was just talking to my parents and they're up in Michigan and they're getting a blizzard right now and I grew up in all that, so I feel very weak that I feel so cold at 60.
yeah,
But you get used to it, right? So
yeah,
I'm so
it
glad to
is.
be here today with you. Thanks for taking time out to chat. And it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so we're going to be, highlighting a few things he had to say, right?
Yeah, we thought so. Welcome to this live. We're going to keep it to 15, 20 minutes. If you have never seen us before, my name is Linda Downey. It's right there on the screen with my friend and colleague Libby. We have started again at the beginning of the year, getting together on Mondays to talk about things that make a difference, we think, in your health and in your life. And we also started a Facebook group, which is called Fasting from Fear and Anxiety, a 40-day journey. It's totally free to be in the group. It's totally free to do the 40-day journey during the season of Lent, which will start in February. So if you're interested in that, you know what, I will try to put the link here while we're chatting, if I can grab it. Oh, I can grab it. But we're here today. We thought, well, if we're going to meet on Mondays, let's coincide something that about what we talk about, along with Martin Luther King, who had so many, many wonderful things to share and to have us think about in his lifetime. And here we still are. So certainly valuable stuff. So we titled this talk after a quote of his. I left off the first part of the quote, which is, normal fear protects us. Abnormal fear paralyzes us. So I just did the second part for the quote, so it wouldn't be too long, or for the title. But please share with us as we're going through this where you're listening from. We can't see all of the comments because it's streaming on multiple places, but we will go back later. And if you're interested in joining the group, um, Fasting from Fear and Anxiety, which will get started in February, as I said, with the Lenten season, just let us know and I'll make sure you get the link for that. So thank you for being here. And so, Libby, our conversation today, there's a couple of quotes that we thought were really great that Dr. Martin Luther King is famous for. But when you think of his assertion that normal fear is what protects us as human beings, but abnormal fear is what paralyzes us. What does that mean to you? What comes to your mind?
Oh, well, I mean, there's so many different directions you can go, but I think the big one for me is that um, it's normal for us to grieve or have fear or struggle with some anxiety, maybe we get a diagnosis or maybe we have a big life change or whatever. It's normal for there are some ways like being like one of the natural fears in a human is like fear of heights and fear of like falling off of something. That protects us, right? I mean, you want a child to not, get up on something high and then just go over. So there's that kind of instinctual fear that's protective of us. But I also think when we get into something more like, like a scary diagnosis or a relationship that is broken or ending or, a career change or really any kind of change, um, we can get into a place where we kind of get in this cycle of fear and grief and the what ifs. And we're only what ifing in the negative, right? Like, what if this what if fill in the blank, whatever the diagnosis is, kills me? What if it's a fate worse than death and I'm really, really, really sick for a long time? What if, this job doesn't work out? What am I going to do now? I've lost my job. And we can get into this analysis paralysis. And one of the things my dad taught me when I was a young teenager that was like the best thing I think he ever said, one of the best things he ever said to me was, Libby, a car in motion is way easier to steer than a car that's stationary. And,
Hmm.
one of the things that I have learned as I walk through different scenarios that can produce fear within me, um, is that I can pause and reflect and take a moment to feel whatever feelings I need to feel, and I need to be really careful. Um, as one of our mentors, Jesse Torres, talks about, is putting a timer on it and not letting it consume us, because we can get into this state of perpetual fear or perpetual grief where we don't take action because we're just literally paralyzed, like what he talks about. And the best way to do that is to not allow ourselves to get to that level of fear and anxiety. That's my thought. How about you? That was a long
Well,
answer. Sorry.
um, a couple of things came to my mind as you were talking, and one of them was, when you said how fear, well, the quote says how fear can protect us. There's a book that was written in the 70s, I think, quite a while ago, about stress and anxiety and fear. And it was called, I hope I get it right, something like Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And it's about the fact that animals have the appropriate response, right? So the zebra is drinking at the water hole. There's a lion. The appropriate response of fear is, oh my gosh, here's a problem. I'm not safe. The zebra runs.
Yes.
And let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, the zebra gets away, outruns the lion. That zebra will go back to the next watering hole or the same one and shake off the energy of the fear, like animals do. We both have dogs, so we've seen that.
Yes.
Anybody who's had an animal, we've seen them shake off the charge energy of whatever type of energy they're in. But then the zebra goes back and drinks and doesn't go into their head. Oh my God, why did the lion pick me? Is he going to be here every afternoon at this time? Do I need to find another watering hole? What did I ever do to that lion? Right? That's what human beings do. So the initial appropriate fear of let me get away protects us. But then staying in that fear, which was the other part of what you were saying, is setting up base camp, putting your tent up in the place of fear, making that be your emotional home state.
Yeah.
Is something that I was just about to say it's a choice, but it's not always just a conscious choice. It is something that our nervous system can get, let's say, molded into, for lack of a better word. We get a nervous system that has maybe so many times, if you've had long-term events like chronic things to deal with, and the nervous system doesn't get a chance to stop being triggered on, to stop running from the watering hole. Yeah. So it can be, or it often is, a nervous system response. But
yes,
it's also could be a choice. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, and sometimes, well, oftentimes we as humans, we default to the natural pattern, or we get into a comfort zone, even if we don't like it, right? If we've been in that state long enough, pretty soon it becomes comfortable and normal to us. Whether or not it's healthy, it becomes our norm. And that's where we can really get into trouble, because really it's about the habit, right? It's because habits are just, sorry to break it to everybody, but habits cannot be broken, but they can be replaced. And so if you find yourself in the habit of fear paralysis, Linda, what do you like? How do we get ourselves out of it? We can't break the habit. What do we need to do?
Well, one of the things when I'm in my calls with my clients, we've talked about this, and it's sort of like redirecting your thoughts, like taking a toddler. When you have an 18-month-old and you've got this shelf of glass objects, and the toddler wants to go over and touch it, and you're like, no, honey, come back over here. And 2 seconds later, back, no, we're going to come over here. 2 seconds later, right? So it's doing that with the neural pathways that you already have paved. So if you already have a habit of fear, you've got these neural pathways that fire and fire to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And you have to rewire that. So it's like taking that toddler yourself and refocusing enough times with enough consistency to rewire new pathways. It would be also like, another example is like, right now you've got a super highway of fear and anxiety. And maybe in the woods is a tiny little path just big enough for a raccoon. And you've got to start going down that path until the brush gets pushed aside and until the path gets wider and it feels really comfortable. In the beginning, it's this tiny little path and you can't even really find it. But if you start going down that path rather than choosing the superhighway, soon enough, that pathway becomes your preferred route of choice. It becomes the way the brain wants to go. The brain, I think, like all parts of our body, we are made to be efficient and to use the best energy sources, right? Given whatever your diet is, and to use the most efficient way to get whatever the job is for each part of our body. Well, the brain has its job, and the most efficient way is to use the pathways that are most often gone, used.
Yeah.
So you've got to practice that yourself. And that leads us to, because we really wanted to keep this conversation short and brief today and just really touch base with you about fear. But the other quote that you suggested, Libby, that Dr. King is really famous for is, do you remember exactly how he said it?
Faith is
Go ahead.
taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase.
Okay.
And
yes. So,
and
go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, faith is kind of the opposite of fear, right? They kind of can't coexist really well together. And so sometimes, although we can't break a habit, we can replace a habit. And just like what Linda is talking about, if we're always in this, if we're in this perpetual state of anxiety and fear, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? And it's only the negative what ifs. Then we're not exercising the faith muscle of, but what if something really good happened? What if this all worked out? What if this worked better than I could have ever imagined? What about that? And that's really exercising the faith muscle. And I know, Linda, you do a lot with personal training and everything. And what happens if you say, I want really big biceps, so you only work your biceps and you don't do anything with your triceps? What happens to your arm?
It gets a little out of proportion.
Yeah. And it can cause some like mechanical problems, I'm guessing, too, right? It's probably not going to work so well. And, that's really, having appropriate fear is like working the bicep, right? Like, I mean, there are times we need to, if there's a lion chasing me, I need to run. I'm probably will not outrun it, full disclosure, but I can try. And, faith is maybe like that tricep muscle, something you wouldn't maybe necessarily think about, but it's something that's important for us to work properly. And that faith is, well, what if it does all work out? What if amazing things happen? What if this horrible, what we would see as a horrible thing is really the best thing that could have ever happened in this situation, and I don't even understand how yet? What if that was the case? And
Yeah.
it's not about being a Pollyanna, it's about just being balanced and recognizing that very often, especially in our culture of chronic stress, which is like we kind of always feel like the lion's chasing us, right? When we sit at our keyboard at our desk, when we watch a movie, when we talk to a friend, when we're, getting inundated by social media all the time, there is no chance for our brain and our body to just reset and rest. And so really, when we talk about inviting you into this journey, that's really a big part of what we want you to do. We want you to have faith that even though you can't see how exactly you could fast from this fear, I was talking to a client on Friday, and I do a little exercise with them where we imagine, well, what if things could be good? What would that look like? And very often, when I'm chatting with a new client with Linda's, they'll say, I literally cannot even imagine what you're saying right now, that things could be good and that I could feel safe. Like that literally, that gives me so much anxiety even trying to imagine that, because it's so out of my comfort zone. And so what we want to do is invite you to take that step of faith, even though you can't see the whole staircase right now, and join us in this 40-day fast from fear, even though maybe you don't know exactly what it's going to look like or feel like or how it's all going to work. And trust that something good can come of this, that a new neural pathway can be built, that some new faith muscles can be built in place of that paralyzing fear.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So that was our thought for today. In the group, just to give you a little bit more details, and there might be some of you listening who already joined the group, and that's wonderful. We're so glad that you did. And if you're new and you're just hearing about it, again, it's on Facebook. It's a free group, Fasting from Fear and Anxiety, a 40-day journey. We're going to coincide it with the construct of Lent. Whether you celebrate Lent or not, or are a Christian or not, it doesn't really matter. We're just using that construct as 40 days. So when Lent starts, between now and then, we're going to be doing some inspiring things, just some quotes, some different things to keep you preparing for that fast. And then on the first day of Lent, it's 40 days where we will be together on Zoom. So it will be the ability to interact, not just listen, but actually interact. We'll do exercises, we'll do some practices, we'll do some coaching for 40 days. It'll be once a week. So it'll be like 5 of those Zoom calls, I think, right? So that'll start when Lent starts. So if you're interested in that, make sure you put group somewhere, unless you've already joined, and we'll make sure that you get the link. Okay?
Yeah, love it, love
Anything
it.
else?
And I was just going to say during that 40-day period, Linda is going to be dropping some truth bombs on y'all. So be prepared. It's going to be amazing. She's going to coach you through some really, really amazing new tools for your toolkit. And I'm going to be sharing some inspirational stories, some prayers, some other things like that that will help keep us going and focused on that positive. So, yeah, we encourage you to join, and we encourage you to get in the group now and just start chatting and getting to know other people who are like-minded, who also want to change and shift their perspective. And this will just be the start of it. Once you see what's possible, it's going to be transformative for you. And I guess the only other thing I would say is if this resonates with you and you're like, wow, I really think I want a deeper connection and more help than even what this is that we're suggesting, you can always, Linda, maybe you could put in the link to a calendar link. We do a free discussion on just kind of figuring out where your needs are at, where you are right now, and if there are specific ways we can help you. So that's something Linda and I do as well. So
Sure.
yeah, so we'd love for you to do either or both, and we look forward to interacting with as many people as possible. I've been so pleasantly surprised and amazed at the number of people we've already gotten in the group, and it's just growing every few hours. So that's pretty cool.
I know, me too. It's really, really awesome. It does speak to that a lot of people have a lot of fear and live in stress all the time. And I'm sorry about that. My mission, when I really saw the impact of that in my own life from my childhood through much of my adulthood, and realized how much my life could have been different if I didn't live in that place.
Yeah.
My health, my relationships, all of it. And that's so many people for their own reasons, different circumstances, but live in the same place. I'm really committed to, if you're ready to not live there, I'm ready to work with you, because that's not how we're supposed to live.
Yeah.
It's not. And rather than spending time regretting how things were, I'm interested in what are we going to do going forward. So that's it for tonight. We will be together again next Monday, but we'll be popping in and around all week. Yeah?
Yes. All right. Have a great week, everyone. Stay warm wherever you are in the world. Take care.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.